While humanity prospered with its advanced civilization and technology, it was not aware of its impending suicide as a species. They needed a hero, but ended up beheading said hero with their own hands. A lot of things happened, and a lot of things changed. A changed himself from a healer to a creator. The old promises he had made with her sustained him, evanescently, but in a world without her, they ultimately became obsolete. Various sins sprung up from his arrogance, one by one, and A changed very slowly. He became enchanted by the shadows he had created. The plan to discover the disease of mankind became a relic of the past. He became skeptical of man, including himself. A started looking for something that would guide him without turning against him. The conclusion was very simple. While vile humans could not be trusted, the answer lay in machines. Machines, which A loathed deeply, became essential to him. Perhaps A wanted to have wings that would allow him to escape from the hellish inferno he had trapped himself in, to reach the heavens. Angelos. That was how I was born. Huh? What? Who are you? I'm the manager. Ah, so you're the new manager? Sorry, you don't look anything like one. The other departments may kiss your butt while you walk around with an air of arrogance as the manager. But here, that pompous attitude will knot itself into your noose. Well, seeing that you've at least made it here, I guess you won't be a complete deadweight. I'm Gebura, head of disciplinary. We're the best department when it comes to combat out of all the teams. We have no need for cowards. You wanna know what kind of person I hate the most? Those crybabies who constantly whine about abnormalities or employees being pitiful things, how I don't want to see anything die. It's the exact same as a soldier refusing to kill in the heat of the battlefield. As long as you're not one of those annoyances, then we should get along just fine. You really seem to hate cowards. Shouldn't it be obvious? They're a hindrance. Let me ask you this. What do you think abnormalities are? Holy entities, poor defenseless creatures caged underground, precious beings that make energy for us? Totally wrong. They're none of that. Abnormalities can be damaged, but never destroyed. At the very least, they seem to feel pain. Let's make their unending lives as painful as possible. So Gebura's first mission is to suppress 5 abnormalities of risk level HE or lower. Notably, this is not 5 different abnormalities. If, say, we had one HE level abnormality that was really easy to make a breach, that we could effortlessly breach repeatedly, it would totally work if we just did that one 5 times. But I mean, our facility totally doesn't have anything like that. I mean, it's not like we're just gonna use a scarecrow over and over. We're just gonna release a scarecrow 5 times. This is really easy. Welcome back to Lobotomy Corp. In this episode, we're bullying a scarecrow. We have one new newbie, Epiphany. All these 3 are gonna be working on temperance training. Among Us is still trying to get that mask. Shepard is still working with DRV. And Chong Statement's working with new abnormality. Everything else will be done as I figure it out midway through the day, as is traditional. Let us do said day. Big, Bad, and Will Be Wolf is a WA abnormality that does red damage. It prefers Instinct as well, which makes it a good instinct trainer for WAs, similar to his rival, Little Red Riding Hooded Mercenary. Although Little Red Riding Hooded Mercenary technically prefers Insight, she still has good instinct rates, as I mentioned earlier. It has a lot of special interactions with Little Red Riding Hooded Mercenary as well, which I briefly mentioned when I was covering Little Red Riding Hooded Mercenary. If an agent gets a bad result with it when they're working on a work type that is not instinct, they will be eaten. It can only eat one agent at a time, I believe, and its sprite changes when it has eaten an agent. An agent who gets a good result, who works Insight with it while it has something eaten and gets a good result, will cause it to vomit out the agent it had previously eaten, and they will be released at half health. Additionally, if any agent who had previously worked with Little Red Riding Hood Mercenary on the same day works on it, they will also be eaten, and its cool thought counter of 2 will be decreased by 1. This happens also if you get a bad result. Its cool thought counter decreases. And finally, if Little Red Riding Hood Mercenary enters its hallway, its cool health counter instantly drops to 0. While it is breaching, it will go to the main room of a department and attack agents nearby, doing red damage, and it will occasionally howl, doing white damage to everyone in the department, as well as if it is at below half health, it will reduce the cool thought counter of all nearby abnormalities by 1, which is incredibly annoying. Every time it loses 15% of its HP, it will mark another department with a moon, either a blue moon if it's above 50% or a red moon if it's below 50%, and turn into smoke and then teleport to that department. If Little Red Riding Hooded Mercenary hears its howl, she will instantly breach and attempt to kill it. If she kills it while it has an agent in its stomach, it is supposed to give the agent a special gift. I could not get this to work for me, but whatever. It's not really worth farming for anyway. Realistically, he's just a slightly better version of Little Red Riding Hood Mercenary, and there's really no reason to have them both at the same time. I've had them both at the same time in both of my playthroughs, so woohoo. His suit is more vulnerable to Pale, but has better resistances elsewhere, slightly. And his weapon is basically the same thing, in my eyes. His ego, if you care about farming ego gifts as well, his ego gift is pretty good because it's in a completely unique slot. It's the only face slot ego gift. Overall, while he has a lot of rules for a while, in the end he's actually really simple to work with because he's unlikely to breach if you just work instinct. And here we are back in gameplay mode as soon as the days start, which is coming up. It takes a little bit to launch the days nowadays for my computer. It's pretty sad, but it's not really a great computer. So essentially the plan here is pretty simple. Just train everybody up. As I said yesterday, I typically go for Temperance first, just because it is the work success stat and it makes training the other stats easier. In my opinion, Temperance and Justice are slightly better to train than the other stats, just because in general, having like 100 HP versus having 80 will not really matter that much in the late game. Whereas having 100 Temperance versus like 80 Temperance can actually make a pretty big difference with some of the LFs. But I mean, we're capping HP pretty easily anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we want it to happen. We just don't have to worry about it. And we just got a new HP trainer, so that makes it even better. We have to move a lot of agents around at the beginning of the day, which is starting to become typical. Eventually this will stop happening when we stop having to train. And realistically, I don't have to put the newbies in training, I just prefer the 5% extra bonus that you get for being there. A little effort right now was being called all the way down from information to deal with Scarecrow because I wanted to show off the new weapon from La Luna, and it's Black Shield. Scarecrow does black damage, as you may recall, when it breaches, but white in containment. It's what we like to call inconsistent. Woodsman's the same way. In case you couldn't tell, the audio for this episode's a bit messed up because I may have forgotten to record it, but the gameplay, something happened that I wanted to keep. And also I didn't notice until I already hit save. That's the other thing. So I am piping in the Neutral 1 song in editing. That's why there are no sound effects for this. I am sorry. I made a mistake. So, little effort could definitely solo Scarecrow. It was taken forever to do it 5 times. So I was like, call in all of Central 1, pretty much. Goom's not fighting the Scarecrow because of Little Red. Since we're having more than 3 breaches today, no matter what, we have to have a minimum of 5 HE level or below breaches to finish Gebura's mission. Little Red is going to breach because our Quilthoth counter decreases by 1 each time a breach happens, and it starts at 3. And she's a bit dangerous, so I'm having Goom solo her because he has the LF armor. And so he could probably do it. Well, and the LF weapon. That too. Little Red's also weakest to Pale, which is what damage type that literally only he has access to because it's our only pale weapon. Although there are only 3 in the game, so it's not really that surprising. I only saw one my first playthrough too. It was not this one, it was the weakest pale weapon, and it ended up being outclassed, but it was fun while it was the best weapon. Among Us is just continuing to work with Today's Shy Look because I'm determined to get him that gift. If you think about it, repressing this scarecrow is also training little F for repression, so it's really efficient. That was my logic behind having little effort do all the letting out of scarecrow at least. And scarecrow is about to break out again. Action-packed scarecrow breaches. This is the second one, so Little Red's cool health counter is at 1. The next time it breaches, she will break out. And there will be a dramatic Goom versus Little Red fight. And Scarecrow is about to breach again. In general, when the suppression missions for Gebura and Hod, those are the only two Sephiroth who have them, by the way. I like to get them done early in the day, just so you don't have to worry about it later on in the higher meltdown levels. No one's training with the apple today, but we'll probably use it tomorrow. It's just that I was focused on getting the suppressions done and also training up a bunch of people at once. I don't like to put too many eggs in baskets. Not really. All the people who need the apple training were in, also training temperance today. And I don't want to have people with low temperance working with apple, because if they get too many normals, we'll see it breach. Breach is annoying to deal with and can very easily kill people. We hit first trumpet from Little Red breaking out, so ordinarily if I didn't screw up with the audio, the warnings I'll be playing. It doesn't last that long anyway, first trumpet in this day. It was just because Scarecrow and Little Red broke out at the same time, but Goom is perfectly fine soloing Little Red. I think she chooses her target based on like who's closest to her. So if you have someone in her hallway who can solo her, you should just make them the target. I'm giving Goom red shields just to make sure he can deal with her, because all she does is red damage. I mean, she is Little Red Riding Hood. Ho ho. I get it. And that's basically it for the Gebura mission progress. Right now, when we're doing things that kill clerks, you have to be careful with Big Bird to keep its cool health counter up, but we're working it anyway, so it shouldn't be a big deal. No, the other clerk's right abnormalities don't have that counter raising feature, by the way. Big Bird's the only one whose counter can be raised. Counter raising isn't super common among abnormalities. It's actually pretty rare. I think this is the last Scarecrow fight I left in because it was just the same thing like 5 times. Realistically, I could have cut before this. I just wanted to show Little Red breaking out. And the cut is coming up in about a few seconds. Quite dramatic. I love saying things when the cut happens. It's just my dumb habit. If I win, I usually mean like a few seconds afterwards. I'm bad at talking. Anyway. In general, Gebura's missions aren't too hard. And by in general, I mean this one. This one's easy. There are tough ones coming up, though. I think they're harder than Chessed's, her missions overall, but they're more fun. I don't really find Chessed's missions fun. It's not the way I like to play the game. As you can probably tell by the fact that I keep having to cut most of my gameplay, I kind of play pretty slowly, typically, and deliberately. I like to make sure that things are going according to plan. Chessed's missions make me do dumb things, like send Among Us right into the open arms of Green Noon, and then watch him get chainsawed to death. And I mean, it's fair, it's a challenge. I mean, you only have to do it like 4 times. It's not really that big of a deal. I do like just it as a character too. The final set of works today is just really trying to get that gift on Among Us. Among Us has become stinky due to Claude working with Portrait in a cut part of the day. So will Stinky Among Us finally earn his right to have his face obscured by a mask, as was foretold in the prophecy? I'm on the edge of my seat right now. That Stinky Among Us. He's finally done it. He's beginning to believe. And so we had another day of decent-ish growths. Among Us finally got the gift. Zhongseng main capped Fortitude. Little effort got to level 5 Justice just from beating up a Scarecrow, even though it's like barely level 5. Shefford capped Justice. Pesca capped Temperance, and presumably Corbinian did too. Yeah, Corbinian did too. And Epibany almost capped Temperance, which is just pretty good overall. We can have the newbies work on things that aren't Temperance. Li He-chan got to level 3 Justice, so he can work with Snow White's Apple on the next day too, which is nice. It's important that we have people able to work with that because it is one of our more efficient Justice trainers. It is now last non-tool for disciplinary time. D01 and 110. Oh, we've seen this one a lot. D03 109. This is an LF. My dear employees, I do hope we will put on the gas D before you enter. This is a wall, it's not very good. And 0466. Even if it turns out to be a curse, I will love this curse like a blessing. This is a wall that is very good. So I want either 2 or 3 here. I mean, I just rolled a 1 yesterday, and because I am a believer in the gambler's fallacy, that means we will not roll it today. I rolled a 1. Gosh dang it. And now it is time for sap lore. The sap of a nameless gigantic tree that roots itself on the edge of the world. According to the exploration team, there were a number of life forms around it with a scorched green tint. This is because the sap makes them satiated and contained potent healing agents. However, some of our employees who drank the sap melted, leaving smoldering green remains. Other various experiments confirmed that the probability of melting rapidly increases as more sap is consumed. Many wondered how such a large tree could prosper all the way out in the barren outskirts. The life forms who consumed its sap became its nutrients sooner or later. The tree simply reaped from what it sowed. What a beautiful story.